beautiful souls.
Welcome back to Empower to the People. I'm Paige.
I am Harretta.
So just a little update. Instead of doing our consistent live sessions, we are going to be creating episodes that we'll be uploading to YouTube every couple of weeks, and then using our live stream sessions to check in with everybody occasionally, but we'll post more about that later.
And for us to get more content out to you guys quickly, because we know everybody doesn't have time to tune into a live visit, and then you can share with your people instead of, having to tune in at a certain time.
Yeah.
People are busy, life is happening.
Life be life, and
there you go.
So, right. And then when we do have live streams, we'll automatically upload them to the channel as well, so you'll never miss them.
So if you missed the first one, you can go and tune in. It's already uploaded.
That's
so
right.
Check it out. And now today we are going to talk about spiritual evolution and our spiritual growth and all that good stuff.
Yes, we are going to be discussing our own personal spiritual awakening moment.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people tend to start to experience it in their 20s. I have a lot of clientele that comes in around that age of like 27. I think we spoke about it in a previous episode, but they call it the quote unquote dark night of the soul. And it's just when stuff hit the fan in life. And for me personally, that did occur, but I did start to tap more into my spirituality with my career. Honestly, I knew I wanted to be a nurse since I was a child, and that led me to wanting to help others. And so I became a STNA after 1 year of college at Ohio State University. Y'all was playing, so I was doing nothing but playing, and I decided to come back home instead of waste money up there, with student loans and stuff.
Yeah.
So I came on home and became a state tested nursing assistant, and it really helped me a lot with knowing that nursing was the career for me. But within that, I was caring for a couple at a nursing home, and when I say I fell in love with this man, I mean it was a husband and wife, but I fell in love with him, and he was nonverbal.
Oh,
but his eyes spoke everything. He had beautiful light blue eyes, bald head. And I can see him right now in my head. But anyway, he was just sweet as can be. Now his wife,
she's spicy,
honey. She was just very particular about everything. So they roomed together, but I loved going in there for him. But she always needed some attention too.
Well, yeah.
Well, long and behold, he ended up passing away. And for my heart for her, and the family was very kind too, and talked about how much he cared about me. And I was just like, no, I cared about him. But anyway, when he passed away, I took it upon myself to really nurture her. She ended up having hospice care.
Okay.
So with her having hospice care, her ailment turned me into the person who I am today. It's very odd how spirit works step by step in my life and in my spiritual journey evolution. So anyway, she had hospice care. There was only one aide with her, and I was like, this is what you do? I was busting my butt caring for like a whole hallway, which can sometimes total up to like 28 people, 28, 30 people.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. My patient, she kept on, declining. And every night I would go in there and ask the aides that was there, like, more questions about the job. So eventually they was like, well, you can apply, but it's very hard to get in. And I was just like,
okay, I can already see.
You already know.
Okay.
So I literally applied that week and got hired like that. I enjoyed being there for 10 years. I stayed there for a whole decade.
Wow, I didn't know you were there for a decade.
Yes.
Oh my God.
A whole decade. I discovered my gift there. That's where I really discovered my gift of being quote unquote clairsentient. If you're not familiar with clairsentient, it's just a gift of being able to sense things naturally. And I had the gift of being able to sense when my clientele was going to pass away. So I don't know how. Like, my family used to tease me and call me the Grim Reaper.
Oh,
I found it comforting for family members because I worked at night, so I could tell them, like, you don't have to stay up all night. Believe me, I will know.
Oh, wow.
Again, there's telltale signs in the body that manifest that let you know, like, okay, death is on the horizon, but I could just sense it. It was a very interesting experience for me. I was young, didn't know, but I knew, and I wasn't into a lot of spiritual things, life after death. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but I trusted it. And thinking back, it really transformed my life in knowing that it was something beyond us, but also that we had a spirit. Like I could literally sense, oh, they're gone. Like for instance, a lot of times when people are passing away, family will just surround the bed, surround the person, wanting them to quote unquote stay. And we would tell them as healthcare professionals, like, you need to give them permission. If you're ready to let them go, give them permission to go. And a lot of times when that permission was had,
They could go.
they could go.
Yeah.
So that was my initial experiencing with my spiritual awakening. Things have evolved beyond that, but that was my first aha. Like, oh, something is more than just this human experience.
When you started realizing that you have this gift, this ability to sense, did you discuss it with anyone close to you?
Yeah, because I thought it was odd. I told my family.
Yeah, what did your family say?
You know.
No, say it. What did they have to say?
Okay, Retta. Like, you know
Kind
what
of
I mean?
dismissive.
Yeah, like, oh, all right, oh, can you? But now that I am who I am now.
It's so funny. Like, I didn't even know her back then, but to see and hear how her family has, like, you know, done this 180 and come and be like, do you know Harretta? Do you know? It's like, oh, now y'all
Oh,
want to,
now,
like...
listen, oh, now you want to touch and agree
Oh,
with. Like, I don't know how you do that. And I was like, it's not me. But yeah, that is my life. I am constantly entertained by things that happen in my life, but it's fun. But my spiritual awakening wasn't necessarily tough and hard. I mean, my career was challenging, and being able to care for people as they quote unquote transitioned, it was like a soft launch for the rest of my spirit, because I don't think you just have one spiritual awakening. I feel like it goes even further in depth as you continue to grow and evolve. So that's my spiel.
It's really neat to hear about your direct line with spirit and how that came about, but it wasn't through, you know, hardship or fear.
Yeah, gratefully.
Because I feel like a lot of times, you know, our spiritual awakening can result of difficult times in our lives. Like when Harretta talked about, you know, experiencing a dark night around the age of 27. And I think it's like 27, early 30s, 31. That's also, from an astrological standpoint, that is when what's called your Saturn return occurs, from the ages of about 27 to 31. And Saturn is kind of like the drill sergeant of the cosmos. Comes back around every 30 years to make sure you've been doing your work and make sure that all karma is fulfilled. And that's why when people hit 30, they're like, life changes. Something gets harder, something major happens.
So what happened with you?
So for me, mine was a little bit more challenging. Mine started around 23, about 22, 23. And mine was the result of a really traumatic relationship. And prior to this, I had a very atheistic, agnostic standpoint on religion and spirituality. I didn't really believe or put much faith in a power greater than us. And
so what did you think? You thought you just existed?
Yeah, I have, you know, a degree in science, and my mindset was if I can't see it or make sense of it or have science explain it, that I don't accept it. And I do have, you know, some, due to my upbringing, some aversion to organized religion. So forced to conform. Double Aquarius. We don't like to conform. But so my spiritual awakening started with a traumatic relationship. I was in an abusive relationship with an alcoholic, and I was 23 years old. And I just felt very isolated and from my family. And when I would go to work, it was like I was one person, and when I would go home, I was somebody else. And
isolated by choice or because of your partner?
Because of my partner. And partly by choice as well, because I had a lot of shame around being in an abusive relationship, because, you know, everybody saw me as very strong, very independent, very opinionated. Like, I would never be caught dead in an abusive relationship or letting somebody control me, you know. And so I was ashamed too, which if anybody's been in an abusive relationship before, I think you know what I'm talking about. And so, man, we were arguing one night and he did something really hurtful to me and, got into an argument, and he went into the other room to call and speak to his mother who lived out of state at the time. And he was just blaming everything on me, saying I controlled him. I did these horrible things to him. And I was just so fed up with it. And I remember doing the dishes, and you do your best thinking sometimes, I feel like, when you're doing the dishes or folding clothes or whatever. And I was just like, I wish that I could just get out of this, that I could just be freed of this somehow. I wish that he would just disappear. Mm-hmm. I'm like, God, I wish he would just give me. And without even knowing it, I was praying. I remember thinking, like, God, I wish you would just give me some idea of how to get out of this.
Oh, you requested something? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's as easy as that.
And I've heard since then, it's funny how when human beings are backed into a foxhole, how quick we are to say, please, God, help me, After that, I got this idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I convince him that we're going to move out of state and go start over? And I just won't go. And I was like, because I was never going to get out of the relationship so long as he stayed here. I was like, why don't we move to, like the state that your mom is in, and we'll start over, because he had lost his career here and I had just started my career, so I could take my skill anywhere. Mm-hmm. Started my career as far as I had just started working for myself, started my own business, Archmaker Studio. Mm-hmm. And he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I think we just need to move somewhere fresh and start over. And he's like, I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. So we contacted his mother, and she was like, that's great. Come on down. I was like, why don't you go and get us set up, and I'll follow up afterwards and close up my business and tie everything together. And he was like, okay, great. And my family was like, what is going on? Why are you just up and moving? I'm like, I can't talk about it right now. Like, they had no idea that this stuff was going on.
Wow.
They knew that I had changed. My demeanor had changed, but they didn't really understand what was going on. My brother-in-law had an idea of what was going on, because he was like, I don't believe this. Like, if something, if you love somebody, you're not just going to up and leave without them. You're going to do this together. And I'm like, just don't worry about it. I've got it under control. And, so I helped him. Like, he got on a plane and I never saw him again. I started a fight with him a week later on the phone. And I was like, I don't think I'm coming.
Now, how quickly were you going to try to go down, per se? According to him, did he think he was coming in like a week or 2?
Month, at least.
Oh, a month. Okay, yeah. So you had time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's believable.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to need at least a month to get my stuff packed up and, kind of figure out. But, it occurred to me, even though I really wanted to, get away, I've always wanted to move away from Dayton, and I never have, out of, fear or familiarity, whatever. I realized if I really did leave, I would be completely alone down there, and I would be with my, enemy, essentially, at the time. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't put myself in that position. I'll be even more isolated.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking, he probably perked up to that, I'll have her to myself now, when you initially propositioned you guys moving.
I mean, it was a really, and I was so young, and I just, I think about my younger self all the time, and I wish so bad I could go back and tell her, girl, would you just say bye and go on with your life, because it's gonna get better. But I am so grateful for it, because I realized that when he was gone, I was like, oh my God, I'm free. Oh my God, he can't do anything to me from down there. I'm free. I can do anything I want now. And I was like, oh my goodness, I asked for this and it happened. Okay. I asked for this idea or revelation or some way to free me and get me out of this, and it came to me in that moment. And something kind of occurred to me that had never occurred to me before. At least I had never had an experience to prove to me that when you really focus on something, you can manifest it. You can draw it into your life. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was just an idea about how to free myself from my situation. And I was like, well, there's something to this. There's something to this spirituality
Yeah,
thing.
because you were desperate for something.
I was desperate.
Yeah.
I was absolutely desperate. Then on, I just started expressing gratitude every day for the smallest things.
Oh,
Gratitude for me being able to like support myself, because I didn't think that I would be able to live on my own without his measly income. I didn't think that I'd be able to
Not
grow
measly.
I was the one financially taking care of us. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's just amazing how, the manipulation and stuff. But I was like, I'm so grateful that I'm able to like work on my own, that clients want to come see me, that I can support myself, and that my business is growing even more. I'm so grateful that I woke up today. I'm so grateful it's sunny. I'm so grateful to be having this experience. And it was like, the more gratitude I
Mhm.
experienced for the situation, the more blessings just rained down on me. It
And
was
to me,
amazing.
yeah, to me, if anybody wants to quote unquote start their journey with spirituality, I say that's the first thing is gratitude.
Absolutely.
Having gratitude for every single thing. Breathing,
Absolutely.
living, job, car. Like sometimes I'm in the shower and I be like, thank you so much, Divine, for running water. Thank you that it's warm. Thank you that
Yes.
I have a home.
I'm telling you, because you don't miss it until it's gone.
Hello? Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I am so grateful for this.
Yeah, yeah.
Brene Brown actually says, it's really hard to be angry or pessimistic or negative when you're focusing on gratitude. You can't do both of them at once. So whenever I feel
Yeah.
like negative or fearful or anxious, I immediately think of gratitude. I immediately think of what I'm grateful for. I don't care if it's that my feet are on the ground right now and I'm safe. I don't care if it's something as simple as I can breathe right now without difficulty.
And personally, I like to do that at the top of my day.
Yep.
With my quote unquote meditation hour, I write down 3 things each day. I put the date, I put grateful for, and I'll just list 3 different things. And sometimes it's more than that, but I like to go back in my little booklet. It's a little tiny booklet, but I like to go back and read.
I just did that this
Yeah,
morning with mine.
okay.
I did. With
Yeah.
all the change and all the challenges that have been going on with me the last few months, I was like, let me just go back and read. And I do. I have just a little book and I fill out the whole page whenever I do it, because
Excuse me.
It's not very much. It's not very much. And I'm like, if I can't think of 15 lines of things I'm grateful for, then
that's beautiful.
So I went back and I read it and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I am really that's powerful. Gratitude is.
Yeah,
It really
absolutely, absolutely. And with you talking about asking, you received it. Another book that I like to refer back to is "Asking It Is Given" by Esther and Jerry Hicks. It's a good book, but it's always reiterating the fact that we don't ask enough. So if you don't ask, then you're not gonna receive it. But if you intentionally ask and you look forward to it coming to pass,
Yes.
it will come.
Yes.
Little things like that.
I mean, I'm looking forward to this $100,000 check that's going to arrive on my birthday next year.
Well,
so I'm just already thinking about all the stuff I'm going to be doing with it. It's coming.
If y'all not familiar with Esther Hicks, she's the one who sometimes is referred to as Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she does channeling with this being that speaks through her called Abraham, and it's fascinating.
It's so good. It's so inspiring to listen to. Abraham Hicks, just Abraham Hicks on YouTube. You'll see all of their speeches and their talks. It's great to listen to.
Yeah, and I think when I first started my journey, I was attracting different people and different subjects associated with spirituality that helped me dive deeper into it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. It was all new to me. And this was like the early 2000s. And it wasn't as, I thought I was a quote unquote different weirdo, a hippie, whatever, because people weren't talking about these things.
Yes.
And another way for my spiritual awakening that was occurring is I kept seeing the number 111.
There you go.
Yeah. And it was to the point where I thought something might be going on with me. Because I was just like, why am I seeing 111, 11, 11 all the time? And it was to the point where when I was with family members or something, I would be like, y'all, I'm always seeing 111. Do you see it? And they're like, no, Harretta, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay. So if we would be out and about with each other, I'd be like, look at the clock, look at the clock. if a receipt would come and it had 111 on there, I'm like, look
Yep.
at this receipt, so that I knew that I wasn't losing my mind, but it was like angels saying, hey, hello. That's one of the reasons why I call my business Peace Within 111, is because that was the very beginning of my journey. So now a lot of people talk about the angel numbers, and I'm like, oh, if this was around when I was going through it.
But look how great it was. It isn't like you're a pioneer in a way.
Thank
For,
you.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you were recognized. Because I can relate early on when I started, because I've always had an interest and a fascination with astrology. But, you know, I never looked at it as a spiritual tool. My parents gifted me my first tarot card deck when I was 13 years old.
I was late to the journey with that. Yeah.
But I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't understand that for me, it's like a conduit for communication with spirit. You know what I mean? I just thought that I was like being cool and witchy, but I wouldn't tell anybody about it, you know, because it was still like, you know, back in the day. Still taboo.
Funny story, talk about as a kid. I remember, do you remember Toys R Us? We were like probably 16 years old because one of us drove there. And we were going to buy a Ouija board.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say it.
You know how you just, yeah. And I remember, and I was like, y'all, I don't know about this. So my friend was like, well, we're here now. And she was like, well, Harretta, how about you just go to the other aisle and pray about it? Because so even as a teenager, my friend saw this in me. Like, she brought it up to me several years ago, and I was like, I did not remember that. But when I flash back to it, I remember going to the aisle and like seriously saying a prayer, like, should we get this or should we not? Should we not? No, absolutely not.
I know. I
cannot imagine what my life would have been like if I would have opened that quote unquote doorway.
Yeah.
Because when you do things like that, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, everybody have their own spiritual practices. But for me personally, it would have been opening up a doorway for different kind of entities to possibly
chaos that maybe you don't know how to work with.
And at that time in my life, I definitely would not know how to work with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was very interesting.
You know, that's so funny. And I'll talk about this in a later episode, but the reason I didn't have a lot, you know, of like spirituality and religion growing up is like my dad was like, we're not doing that. You know, he never kept it from us, but was like, he was raised in a, you know, religious setting that really like hurt his faith. So he's like, no. But he always said, he's like, don't you ever bring a Ouija board into this house. And I was like, what? You don't believe in that? And he's like, I do in that. I guess when he was little, I don't know if this is true. Dad, if you lied to me, it's out here now. He said him and his friends played with it, and it freaked him out, and they put it in the closet, and they swear to God they thought they put it in the trash. And then the closet door was like rattling that night, and it was back in the closet when and my dad, he would push the limits. He's a Scorpio moon, okay, so he would like push the limits on stuff. Like he's opened all the. He was dead serious. He was like, "You will not bring one of those into my house." No. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's certain things that you play with, certain things that you don't.
But as I got older, I realized that it's like, you know, I don't know that it's like good or bad, light or dark, but there are certain things that if you don't know how to work with them, then you will attract chaos and, you know, difficulty into your life. And sometimes that looks a little dark.
Yeah. So that's why even when I do tarot readings now, and some people look at that as quote unquote something bad, something negative, something witchcraft, whatever. But my clients recognize even before I send them video, I'm praying there. Like, I am calling 100% pure light, divine beings, because I want everything to be light. I don't want any darkness occurring. So be intentional about whatever your faith is, but that is of a positive aspect for you as well as for others.
Yeah, for the highest good of all. I always say that whenever I'm shuffling my cards or about to do some form of divination. You know, I ask spirit, my guides, angels, and ancestors, please give me the best response and outcome for the highest good of all. It's an interesting thing, spiritual awakening, how it opens you up to so much more. It just opens your mind. And the thing about spiritual awakening is, you know, I feel like on the other side of like for me it was difficult. On the other side of that difficulty, it gets so much better and it's so much more expansive and your mind opens up to so much more. Like, after that happened, I actually became really interested in Reiki, and that's when I got my Reiki attunement. Then I started learning about crystals, and then I didn't grow up with religion or spirituality, so then I really started looking into all of these different belief systems, like paganism, Wicca, Christianity, Catholicism, Buddhism. Like, I mean, I had taken an Eastern religions course in college just out of interest. But I was looking to educate myself more because I started to believe that there is something greater than us out there. And I needed something during a very difficult time in my life to anchor onto and believe in.
Yeah, speaking.
Because my ego just wasn't doing the job.
Yeah, and when you talk about anchor, when you were talking about that, I was just thinking like links of a chain.
Yeah.
Like you choose to participate in your spiritual awakening, and then it's like, aha, something else is gonna come to develop another link, and then that link leads to another link. So it's a continued evolution. I am definitely not the same woman that I was in my 20s. My beliefs have shifted a lot since then, but more than anything, it has helped me feel empowered.
Yes.
Because there was a time where I would have been nervous to show this different side of who I am, but I started to become even more fulfilled, more enriched with expressing my gifts. The divine did not give me these gifts to keep them hidden. So therefore, I have to put it out there. It's usually one of my friends laugh at me because I'd be like, "Spirit be bullying me," and they be like,
It's funny. It's funny when they do that, right? Yeah. Like, okay, I get it.
And it's really a season of surrender for me. Even doing this project with you, this is me surrendering because for so long I'm like, I don't want to be on the camera.
I don't want to be in front of a camera. Yeah. I don't want to I don't want to share. Like, I just shared that story. That was such a source of shame and embarrassment for me for so long. And I'm not ashamed to say that, like, it wasn't my last either. Yeah.
Because you've overcome.
Yes.
So therefore you're going to get another link here soon.
Exactly. I was just saying, I'm going through another spiritual awakening right now. And I'm having to step outside of my comfort zone in many areas of my life, this being one of them.
Now you guys learned about our own spiritual awakenings. We would love to hear a little bit from you guys.
Yeah. Have you guys been going through your spiritual awakening? And if so, what's it look like? I want to hear about it.
Sure. So you can definitely email us. Our email address is
empowerttp@gmail.com.
So hit us up, let us know, share with us. Yes. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in, and continue to subscribe, continue to share, and enjoy this journey with us.
Yes.
And hopefully you feel empowered.
Yes. Empower you, empower to the people.
All right. Catch y'all next time.
Bye.
Peace.